I'm Rachel Goldsworthy, and welcome to the Drive Home to Hawkesbury, where I believe every home has a story, and I love sharing those stories on real estate in the Hawkesbury with you. Here we share the best ways to add value to your property, how to avoid the common mistakes people make when buying and selling property, and how to get the maximum return on your investment with a focus on supporting local business. I live, love Hawkesbury, and can't wait to get into today's episode with you, so let's get started. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on what time you're tuning in. I'm Rachel Goldsworthy, and today I am lucky enough to be joined by Kathleen Ann. How are you, Kathleen?
I'm feeling fantastic, and I'm really, really happy to be here and have a chat with you and share some things with your audience.
Excellent. No, terrific. I think everybody that hasn't met Kathleen or had help with their business from Kathleen, she specialises in marketing and helping businesses with powering that up. And essentially that's what her website is, powerupyourmarketing.com.au. So if anybody wants to have a look at her resources there, she's got some fantastic resources. But tell me a little bit about yourself, Kathleen. How did you get started in marketing? What fueled the fire with marketing, and what do you like most about it?
Let me just fix that URL. It's actually powerupyourmarketing.com.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Drop the AU, people. Live feed. It's always the way. So powerupyourmarketing.com. So everybody listening, and we've got quite a few people online. Thanks for thumbs up from everybody. And if everybody can just check that they're getting the feed for audio, if you can give us a thumbs up or let us know that you're getting that feed well, and everybody seems to be. So thank you very much. So sorry, Kathleen, back to you.
Okay. How I got started. Well, I guess it all started, and it was around 25 years ago now, when I got the Don't Come Monday invitation from my corporate position.
Really?
Yeah. And I was actually going overseas the following week, and I thought, sweet, I don't have to come back to this job. I didn't know what I was coming back to, but I went away for 5 weeks and, played around Europe and had a really nice holiday. And then I came back having to consider what I'd do then. So if anyone's thinking about, life after a job, that's what I was doing then. And I actually bought a set of golf clubs and played around a bit longer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I really did. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just couldn't be comfortable going back into the job market. I think that's what happened. And I thought, well, I've got a lot of skills. I think I'll hire myself. So I hadn't any intentions of starting a business up until that point, but there I went off and started a business. And I got into marketing in that corporate role probably 20 odd years before that. So you can see I've got a few grey hairs, been around a while. And my marketing really expertise was in direct response marketing. That's known as relationship marketing, where you build a client base with people that you actually have their contact details. And the main thing around all of that is that you control the conversation. It's a fantastic way to market. So direct response marketing was my skill set. And then I, as I said, I started thinking, I'll consult to all those other companies who no longer have a resource like me. And I figured that might be a really good way to go. That didn't actually work out either.
It's interesting with business, because you sort of ebbs and flows within what you do, but you end up finding your place and your level where you need to be and what you want to do. And then you can break through the glass ceiling when somebody employs somebody like yourself on their team and working with that marketing. So it's interesting, the story that you're sharing.
Yeah, and you just don't always get it right. The main thing is that you figure out what you don't want to do, and then you start on another track, and it gets better and better. But I think if you give up, then you're never going to get there. So that was my whole thing, was I'll find a way. And I did find a way. I actually did find a mentor. That's what happened. I found somebody who was doing what I wanted to do. And I went and joined into their programs and found my way through that. And that's one thing I didn't realise when I got out of corporate. I had no exposure to business or, entrepreneurship or anything like that. And I didn't actually understand it. That was the thing. I figured I was pretty cluey and I'd figure it out myself. Well, it's a good thing to have a few bruises, as I call it. Then you really understand. You've had the experience of what doesn't work, and then you get a bit smarter about it. So that's exactly what I did. Then I
Yeah.
figured out that I really wanted to help other business owners like myself figure it out. So sort of the journey I went on for myself was how I became able to create what I do now and make that journey a lot less bumpy, I guess, for other people.
Yeah. I think it's a valuable point that you make, though, about never giving up and not being afraid of failing, in the sense, I've read many books, and I'm sure you have as well, but there's one in particular, Failing Forward by Maxwell. And it's all about just go out, give it a go, do your best, because what's the worst case scenario? You're trying to achieve X, you get Y, and then you get a little bit of X, and that's okay. And then you sort of re-tack again and then move towards that goal. As long as you're moving to where your happy place is, whatever that is for you, you're making progress, aren't you?
It's so true. And you think, I think now what I didn't know as well was that moving toward, and the way you phrased it is exactly what we need to be doing. We don't always have to know the how, but we do need to know where we're heading. So I think it's that early on structure, if we plan it around what we intend and what we really want, and then just get out of the driveway, get on with it, and as you say, get that experience and keep adjusting. I think what happens is a lot of people then change the destination because they figure, well, they got it wrong. But I think that, once you're really clear, and originally I wasn't, I was just looking to find a way to employ myself, really, because I didn't want a job, when I got really clear about what I really wanted to do. And I think that's the thing, when you find your passion, and it's not work, and it makes it so much easier to bring other people to you because they're looking for what you've found already. So that's how it works.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating. About 20 years ago, I went to a clairvoyant. I don't know whether people listening or yourself believe in clairvoyance, but it was before I started my business, and I really had no idea what to do. I'd done a couple of different careers and had some great experiences, and the clairvoyant said to me, Rachel, you're going to land up somewhere starting with W, and something that's going to be on the internet with houses. I don't know what that means. Does that mean anything to you? And I'm thinking, what is the internet? I don't even know what that is, let alone, what the other thing was. But I was very passionate, and I was very focused and driven, and I really wanted to achieve great things and help people. And here I am 20 years later, a real estate business in houses. In Windsor, and helping people do that. So it's all about, you don't have to know where you're going, you just need to head towards it, as we're saying. So it's great that you can offer that service. Have you had one instant recently that, or over the last couple of years, it's been a favourite of yours, that you've taken them from a place that you felt that, or they that felt that they weren't sort of quite there, and then you've got amazing results?
I actually have several, but one that I really like to share about, because it's an absolute perfect example of how it all holds together for when I talk about getting those foundations right and really positioning yourself. So a client came to me. She was already in business for more than 8 years, a naturopath, in fact. Her name is Sharon Hesp. And some people may know of Sharon. She was positioning.
Hi, Sharon. If you're listening, I hope to see you here.
Yeah, Sharon. She was positioning herself as the food intolerance expert, because that's what she was working with. Her clients, had allergies and intolerances to food, which caused their issues. Now, what she said to me, she wanted another program. And I work with service-based clients. So they don't have a product. They need to put their services together in some sort of format that people can buy them. So I help them productize them. So it's almost like you can hold it out in your hand and say, buy this to fix that. So I said to her, now, what is it that you do? Really, what's the problem that the clients have? Because that's one thing a lot of people don't start with, was the actual problem. Now, she said to me, well, they're intolerant to food. And I said, yeah, but what does that mean for them? Like, the problem is your clients experience it. Well, how was that? And she said, they've got a crook gut. And I've gone, okay. So they would recognise that they had a crook gut. Now, she was selling to food intolerance, which perhaps they didn't connect, that their crook gut came from their food intolerance.
No.
And she's gone, oh, light bulb moment. Oh, my God, I've been talking about this for so long. Not only, but she'd seen people on the internet claiming her space as the expert in what she did, who really didn't have her qualifications and perhaps were even doing harm. So I said to her, okay, you've got to fix that. So looking at the problem that the client had, they've got a crook gut. I said, so what do you do? And she said, well, I heal the gut. I've gone, oh, how good's that?
There we
It's
go.
really simple. Okay. So when we began to work on branding, which was what we were doing, repositioning her. So we went through the branding process I take clients through, and we came up with the thing that she's actually the good gut girl.
And you see, that's very relatable, isn't it? It's not, food intolerance. It's, I got a sore tummy and I've got to get this sorted, and she's the girl that's going to help me.
The good gut girl who heals the gut. For the people who've got a crook gut. So really, really simple. But, it's a process to go through to get to that. But the clarity that came from around there. So then her branding has changed now to the good gut girl. And what we did then, we created programs for her clients at what I call the good, better, best level, so that people could come in and they could do the do-it-yourself online. They could do having her assistance online, where she gave some information via email and took them through the process, the program. These were the 7, simple steps to heal the gut. In 90 days, that was the claim, and that's what she does. So we were working through this whole thing, and we have the good, better, best. So we had to then name those things. So we came up with the Gutsy program, the Gutsier program, and the Gutsiest. So that's the high-end program where you had her real time on the either in front of her or on the phone. So that's what I mean when I talk about making sure that you're positioned in the marketplace as the expert, claim your fame, and be able to differentiate yourself from other people. Because most naturopaths work with the gut, because that's where it all starts and ends, really. But they're talking jargon like we often do in our businesses. We don't talk in our language that our clients will understand. And in marketing terms, we need to really stand out. So that's how the whole thing works when you think about. That's what I'd ask people listening today to think about. How are you positioning yourself in the marketplace? Do your ideal clients, the ones you really want to work with, do they understand who you are and how you help, and what makes you different, and why they ought to come to you and not somebody else?
And if somebody was looking for their ideal client and they're not too sure how to start, would, starting with the ones that you don't want be a good place to sort of work out what you do want? And how would you package that?
Yeah, I think that's the simplest way, because often we go, oh, what do I want? And the reason we don't get what we want, we're not clear. Most people are not clear about what they want. And then, the universe comes to deliver and nobody's home. You've got to be there when these opportunities come to you. So getting clear is a really good thing as a start point. And you're really spot on there, Rachel, about, shorthanding that. Work out what you don't want. So I have a little process. If you just had a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle, and on one side, it's called the clarity exercise. And I learned this from one of my other mentors, Michael Lozier, his name. He's the
shout out to Michael. How you going?
Hey, Michael. He's actually in Canada, and Michael is the how-to law of attraction guy.
Okay.
So he has actually, it's not just all airy-fairy, navel gazing. It's how to do stuff. So on one side is the clarity of what you don't want. So you just write down all those things that the clients that give you grief, don't pay on time, don't do what you ask them, hire you and don't, get out of the driveway, all that stuff. Then flip it over to what you do want. Makes it really, really simple. Then you've got a long list of criteria that you can get really clear about what makes your ideal client. And then you really think about marketing to them. And what often happens, people are selling. They don't really not positioned in the marketplace in the first place, and then they're not speaking the right language to the ideal client. So they get a lot of people wasting their time and they don't hit the mark with the people who are out there waiting for them.
Yeah. It's an interesting topic, and like my mum and dad, I always grew up with lists. Mum and dad's Virgos, so very practical and good advice. And they always used to have a list of positives and negatives for every situation. If you're going through whatever it is it might be, you've got an exam coming up for school, or you've got something that you're going through. You just wrote down the positives and the negatives, and you quickly worked out. And they obviously had done this themselves early on, and they knew it was going to work for me. And our kids in the family, and just you saw a lot more positives on the page, and then you focus on the positives, and then you move towards that as again.
Right.
So
well, weren't you lucky to have parents like that and give you that grounding? Because it's all about mindset, and having that glass half full mindset. You take that through everything as you go forward in your life, and that's one of the things I work a lot on mindset, actually, on money mindset. I think that people, especially service-based business owners, don't charge what they're worth. They don't really understand how to create the value, self-value, by representing the value they give to their clients. And if they really work on their mindset, their money mindset, up goes their self-worth and up goes their net worth.
I think you're right. I think I see a lot of people out there that they potentially don't believe that they're worth what they want to charge, even though they would like to charge a certain amount. I think that if the belief is not there, like you said, they're not going to be able to sit in front of a client and say, this is what I do, this is how I can help you, this is how I'm going to solve that problem that you have, and this is how we're going to work towards that. Sign here. It's a pretty straightforward process. Yeah. It doesn't have to be complicated, because, as you said, everybody has pain points, or they've got a problem that they need a solution to. And if you're that person, why, if you can't help them get to their destination, why can't they help you get to your destination?
So true. And what happens then too is, if you don't help them, guess what? They've got to find somebody who can. So that you do your clients a disservice if you, hand on heart, believe that you're the person that can fix that problem for that client, and they don't sign here, they go away, stuck in their mud, they've got to find somebody else. So they're looking, especially when a client is asking you, and I call it the sales conversation, and you need to have that conversation, but to the end of helping them. If you don't tell them at the end of the conversation, then you've left them with their problem. And
that's right. That's right. And I think too, people don't want to be sold to. I mean, I don't want to be sold to. If I go into a store, I want to go and browse and have a look and have some discussions, see what the product is. And if I like the product, if it suits me and it solves my problem, then I will buy that shirt or jacket or whatever it might be. But I think the same thing in real estate. There's too much of high pressure, too much of you must do this, you must do that. Whereas if you step them through a process of you want to lease your house, and these are the reasons why you want to lease your house. These are the 88 things that we've identified before you put a house on the market that's going to help you achieve the highest possible return on that rental property in the shortest possible time. Then you're speaking their language. They're understanding that you're going to help them pay their mortgage on time. You're not going to have tenants that are in arrears. They're not going to have, dramas with invoices that are outstanding and haven't been seen, or levies that haven't been sent out. So really important to, as you said, identify the ideal client in the first place, because if you don't know what your ideal client is or how you're best going to help them, it's very difficult to help them, find that solution. So, yeah.
Well, there's two things there which I think bear restating, and that is process. Having a proven program or process. Clients like certainty, and if they know that there's a system to what you're doing, and that like you have a system, obviously, and that's what I help clients create, is a system, and that's really the steps you take your clients through to get the outcome that they want. Now, a lot of the time it gets too confusing and too complicated because there's too much information and clients can't make a decision. So once again, selling, you mentioned about we don't like to be sold to, but we do need to buy. I think of selling, I love selling. I think selling is helping a client make a buying decision to solve their problem. That's all it is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you have the best intention in mind, that to help that client, and honestly, if I'm not the best person, I refer them to somebody I know can help them. You know, I'll say, look, I don't think we're a match. What I do is probably not the most best solution for you, but I do know somebody I might introduce you to and see whether that would help you, rather than, you know, I can't help, off you go. So I think it's really important to have a network and to be introduced through trusted advisors in our, and I'm sure you have the same already, but I encourage people to do that. I'm a big networker. I'm part of a networking group. In fact, I'm the area leader for BX networking. They're mostly in Sydney, but now up the Gold Coast. They're gone up Newcastle, Central Coast coming soon, so up that way, Canberra, and, you know, sort of spreading all the time. Now, we help each other build our businesses, because we building relationships with each other, so we can be a good referral partner for people. You know, how can I help you? And then, of course, the logical thing after that is they're going to say, so how can I help you? You help enough people, you'll get what you want.
That's right. I've never focused on the money. I've always focused on the people and what they want, and the money looks after itself. So, you know, but a big shout out to BXI Network and all the team and crew there. That's very nice. And I'm the same with the referral, because, you know, you're a local community. You want to work with the local people. You want to keep the money in the local community as much as you possibly can. Of course, you can't buy everything locally, but you certainly try to support the locals. And we've got some great sort of whether it's naturopaths or whether it's solicitors, conveyancers, help people that help move, all that sort of thing that are in relation to buying, selling, you know, moving house when you're renting, that sort of thing. So really valid point. One other thing I wanted to touch on, and it's been really important to me in the real estate business, is the brand, because brand identity and ownership of that, and making sure that the reputation of the brand is, you know, maintains true integrity out there in the community. What's your opinion on brand and you know, having a strong brand identity?
Well, I'm a branding specialist, so I'm up there with you've got to have all of that. But it's figuring out what those things are. Like my process is working from the inside out. I don't believe that you can represent yourself unless you understand yourself and your own drivers, values, and all that motivation. So mine's quite a different process than a lot of people would use to create a brand. But then the process is authentic. It means, like, I love what I do and I'm wedded to my brand. So it means then that it's not only something you then, like, I'm not the creative person who does the graphics and that.
Graphic design, no, yeah,
exactly. I would give that to my support person on everything. I mean, she's a whiz. She does all my you know, design work, but you can't come up with the logo and the colours and all that representation unless you can give a good brief. So that's what I'm about. People actually creating, it's a one-pager at the end of the day. So it's a creation of what is really evidence of your authenticity in what you're doing. It does include you're really looking at what you do, who you do it for, all of that, you know, works straight into niching. I'm also big on that, rather than trying to serve everybody back to that niche ideal client type thing. So once you've looked at branding in that way, and one of the things I'd like to give a shout out to, protecting your brand, and you and I both know Suzanne Harrington.
Big shout out to Suzanne. How are you, Suzanne? She's fantastic. She's helped me with my brand as well and trademarking everything that we do.
Yeah, she is the trademark specialist. TMS is her company, and it's vital. People think they own their brand just because they've registered a business name or the URL. You know, they really think, oh, that's all there is. Well, hello. You may be trading on someone else's brand and you'll get a cease and desist letter, or someone else might actually trade on yours and you are unable then to shut that down. So really, really important. It's actually takes a little bit, about the same amount of time as birthing a baby. I don't mean the birth, I mean the whole process, from conception to delivery. 1 month long. And there's a lot involved. And some people, they think you can do it yourself. Well, I think there's areas that are traps for young players, and that's one of them. I dare not anyone do it yourself. You need to find an expert. So once you own your brand, then you're able to continue to build on it, because it's a lifelong. As long as your business is around, you need to keep on creating and building the image around that. And if you do anything against your brand, you're done. You can trash the brand overnight. And we've seen some fairly prominent companies and people fall from grace further than they'll never get back from, because they were really not. What would you say? Well, for basics, they weren't authentic. They weren't really being who they really are. And some of that's probably a good thing, because we wouldn't want to have known about that. But you know what I mean? If you go against what people
completely.
in your brand.
Yeah, I think if you tell the truth, you don't have to think too hard to remember what you said. So
I bet your mum and dad taught you that too.
They certainly did. They certainly did. Very practical people, and I love their teachings. And a big shout out to mum and dad and the whole family. I'm very lucky to call them my mum and dad. So
yeah. And they've laid down really good values for you. And I think what happens too, just back to the mindset thing, we're intelligent people, and we think that what we're thinking is how we are making decisions. And, we're doing that from our conscious mind, but it's really in the subconscious where a lot of this acts out. 95% of what we actually do is in the subconscious. So this is the area that a lot of people aren't familiar with, but it goes back to all of those early childhood, what got laid down at the time. And you've mentioned quite a bit in your conversation today about the values that you inherited from your parents. Now, we got a lot of that as well from other contributors, our teachers, our peer group, and the things we've layered in along our life since that time. So the work really is to become aware of some of the things that we are not comfortable with, like it's Groundhog Day. Why are we back here doing the same old thing? Just begin to, this is what I would, share with people today. Begin to just tap into, sometimes when you get that intuitive hit and you don't feel right, something doesn't sit well with you, listen up, because there's emotional guidance that you have that's trying to get your attention and tell you to, take a little bit of time and listen. Please listen to your higher self here and take notice of that discomfort or that really excitement, that giddy up feeling too. That's another thing that lets you know that, the things that are really key for you, you need to slow down and listen to, because often we're so busy, we just dismiss things. We just sort of get on with it. And if you keep on getting on with it and keep on getting the same results, that's what do they say? The
definition of insanity.
Insanity. And how insane can we be? Like
going round and round in circles, expecting the same or different results from the same thing.
Expecting a different result. And it's interesting, if you do just a little thing differently, things change. And you didn't get where you are overnight, put it that way. So you need to allow yourself to incrementally, back again, move toward what it is you're moving toward, and just keep on doing that, but also keep on being aware that your subconscious, as much as you may dismiss that as being, oh no, I know this and I know that. I know that little, 5-year-old kid is pretty active in what comes out for you if you're not consciously, trying to tap into what's really going on internally.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's a valid point that you make in regards to incremental change, because I really believe that people overestimate what they can do now and underestimate what they can do in a year. So the Asians have a fantastic culture in that it's a 1% increase every day. And so by the end of the year, you've got 365% improvement, whether it's in your personal life, whether you're trying to get fit, whether you're trying to, get up early so that you can spend more time with the kids, or whether you want to sort of come home early so you can have dinner with the family rather than working late. All of that sort of thing. It's just one little change that you can do within your life that ultimately affects the relationships, the people that you spend the time with. They're going to love you so much more. You're going to love spending time with them. It just improves the value and the depth of that sharing between person to person. Yeah.
And I think sometimes we can make a leap. Most of the time it is baby steps, incremental, but it needs to be a conscious thing. You need to, 21 days to create a new habit. You're not likely to keep in the repetitiveness that's required if you don't make it a habit. And once it becomes a habit, it's like anything else. I mean, we drive a car, we're not thinking about, if you're driving a manual, you're not thinking about changing gears, you're just automatically changing the gears because it's just your learning, then you already know that. So I think in the mind and the way that our brain works, which is fascinating, I don't think even the medical profession has much clue about how that really works. I mean, send people to the moon, but we still don't know a lot about the human body and the brain. Like I say, the brain might be in your head, but your mind is in every cell of your body. So it's not, your mind is not your brain. But when we think about it, that it's in our head and we're thinking in our head. Well, it's not really what's going on. Brain works.
Absolutely. But I mean, we always react to, and you're right, you feel it in your body. So say if you get nervous, if you've got something coming up, say for the whether it's a podcast that somebody's taping and you might get nervous about that, you feel it in your chest and you feel it in your stomach, and it's a physical thing, and your body does remember things. And if you can change that pattern so that it can be a different response. So I know I'm at the moment embarking, a big shout out to Peter G. Hello, Peter. And Louise Marcus. We're embarking on a fitness journey together, and it's going to be a little bit of fun. We'll check in with everybody, but it's all about what you were talking about before, resetting that, whether it's 21 days, ours is a 10-week program. So we'll be getting up early. We'll be doing a different morning routine. We'll be going for a walk or going to the gym, eating well, eating cleanly, drinking more water, having plenty of sleep, having good conversations with people, all that sort of stuff to reinforce a healthy lifestyle. And it's all a matter of, I think, aligning those behaviors. Because if I say to myself, and it's probably people in marketing as well, if you say, I want to be a good marketer, but you don't do anything, you don't get out of bed, you don't do what you're meant to do, you don't sort of do the homework on your marketing, you don't know what colors that you want to do, like you've got some fantastic colors on your design here, you're not going to be a good marketer. So the same thing with the fitness. I'm not going to be fit if I don't get up early, if I don't go to the gym, if I don't eat well, if I don't drink the water. So, and I suppose everybody, has different things in their life and different twists and turns that we take. And but it's good to share those things, as you say, and tap into somebody like you that has the knowledge with the marketing that can platform somebody. So leading on to that, if somebody wanted to get in touch with you and they wanted to have some sort of consultation with you, are you able to offer the people listening or now or in the future something that may help them with their marketing and power up their marketing?
Thanks, Rachel. I do offer something, and you can find this on my website. I think it takes a conversation, and I'm very happy to have that conversation with people just to explore, where they've been, where they want to go, and whether what I do is a good match for them, or can I point them somewhere, or even just give them a few tips to steer them away from maybe falling down a rabbit hole. So if you went to my website, and it is powerupyourmarketing.com, and you can go on to services, and you'll see there's a number of things there. If you're interested in branding, I can offer you a conversation about that. So you just click on those links and you'll find an opportunity to connect with me. It'll be a phone conversation. It's totally complimentary. I'll ask you for to fill out a little form to give me a good briefing so we can make great use of that time together. And then you'll get a link to my calendar to book in a time. So very, very simple process. And I'd love for people to do that and reach out, let me know if I can help, and or point you in the right direction. Either way, it's great for me. I love being able to help other business owners make and keep more money, and they can only do that if they are putting themselves out in the marketplace and strut your stuff. I mean, especially women, women hide out, sorry, but, they're sort of keeping their head down, that tall poppy syndrome. Well, you've got to pop it up. You really have to put yourself out there and let people know. You don't want to be the best kept secret in your industry. You want people to know. So, mindset, people think they're bragging, especially women. Don't brag. I bet your mum and dad told you that too.
Children should be seen, not spoken.
How does that help a woman in business if you've got those sort of mindsets very deep, and they're there. If you heard any of those things, and we all did, we all grew up with those sorts of language. So you really need to find evidence that that's not true. And actually it was said by people who meant the best for you, but probably didn't understand that won't serve you. So I look to help people find out what's not serving them and, get rid of that and get on to things that really will support. And particularly in business, people say, oh, business is hard. How many times do we hear it? And I go, you know what? It isn't really. It doesn't have to be. And if you keep on doing it, I'm telling you, you'll keep on getting it. So try and change that and think business is challenging and exciting, and there's lots of opportunities out there. And that is a totally different way to approach what comes by us as business owners than, oh, business is hard.
I completely agree. It's a real mindset, isn't it? I mean, we had 137 to an open home last weekend. We had 29 contracts issued and 7 offers in. That one's exchanged and sold. But it's all a matter of doing the marketing that you do, Kathleen. It's all a matter of getting the word out there, doing it in the right platform, the brand, the product that whether it's direct marketing that you touched on before, or whether it's online marketing, whether it's Facebook advertising, Instagram advertising, all of the new platforms that we've got now. I don't think people realize how valuable the time would be spending it with you. I think that 30-minute conversation just to help them identify where they want to head with their business, because I think that, as you said, there's not a great deal of mentorships that have been out there, especially when I started in business. I know that there wasn't. So I think that what you're offering is very, very generous, and I do appreciate that, and I'm sure the people listening to this podcast will appreciate that as well. And we'll put a link on the podcast so people can find you. And I can see behind you, you're an award-winning business. I've seen many awards that have come through from the different websites that you've got there too. So you won an award recently, I believe.
Yeah, that was in the St. George Local Business Awards. So that was maybe only about 6 weeks ago. So that's my most recent. And as a marketer, you can never have too many. So I'm very big on helping people actually, attract an award. Being an award winning anything is a good thing. I've got an international award that I received as well. So, it's not just confined to the local situation. There's plenty. And in fact, I've just been asked, and I'm in the middle of judging the Stevie Awards, the International Stevie Awards. So once again, I mean, that's going to be something to be invited to be a judge in that sort of peer group is an accolade for me. I'm chuffed about it, and I'm really enjoying, reviewing businesses from around the world to, help with the outcomes of those. So Stevie Awards are an internationally recognised award, and that's what I love to do. Is that's really helping businesses. It's not just local, it's not just even Australia. So, and with the internet, of course, there's no boundaries, are there?
We're ubiquitous. We're everywhere, aren't we? It's an amazing thing. I love the fact that you can be anywhere, and these podcasts are brilliant. Like you're on the riverside at St. George's River, aren't you there? Or Georges
Yes,
River, I should say.
Yeah, I overlook the Georges River, and there's National Park across the river, so no one looking back at me. It's wonderful. And I'm about 25k from the centre of Sydney. It's like being like the Hawkesbury.
Yeah, I was going to say, we've got the same view. The river's just there, and I can imagine what it's like. I was down at Wiseman's Ferry last weekend. We got some beautiful cabins down there for sale, and it's just such a beautiful lifestyle. Idyllic. You can just sit by, catch up with friends in a relaxed atmosphere. That's a really nice community. So thanks very much for coming online today, Kathleen. I really appreciate your time. Anybody that wants to get in touch with Kathleen, you can reach her at powerupyourmarketing.com, and there is no AU on that. And we've got a 30-minute chat if anybody would like to contact Kathleen. Can I give out your phone number, Kathleen, online?
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah. Okay, so the mobile number is 0412 907 852. That's 0412 907 852. And Kathleen's also got a download that if you visit her website, that's 7 must-know secrets of branding success. So I think, I've downloaded it. It's valuable information, and it would be very helpful for anybody looking at starting a business or starting to G up their marketing within their business, or getting some tips and strategies around the marketing. So tap into Kathleen's resource. She's been very generous in offering that time, and I appreciate her doing that. Any other questions from people online at the moment? I'll just ask one last round before we leave the conversation today. I think we covered off most of the questions that I got during the week. So, I do appreciate your time, Kathleen, and nice to see everybody online as well. Thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to catching up with everybody on the next drive home to Hawkesbury. Thanks, Kathleen. We'll see you again.
Absolute delight. Thank you. Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for taking time out listening to today's episode. If you have any questions on the process of buying, selling, leasing, or strata management, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes, and I'd really appreciate it if you could spread the word by liking and sharing this episode with your family and friends. I'm Rachel Goldsworthy, and I look forward to catching up with you on the next episode of the Drive Home to Hawkesbury.